Hi, welcome. On this video, I want to take a couple minutes once again to actually go in and do a little audit here by way of trainers who come on to my videos and say they don't understand about the role of control and influence. Again, I talk about what training represents, defined by taking a path of a intervention versus a learning-based exercise. But I also talk about the role of control and influence, the integrity of that, okay, how it's reconciled through a intentional interaction-based method to reveal and change. I talk about speaking the right language, okay, in terms of change the perception of dogs the right way. Now, this trainer here, and understand these are trainers coming onto my video saying they don't understand, leaving all sorts of comments. And so I just, just for interest's sake, okay, actually going in and seeing, okay, what are they advocating by way of training? What's their process? They say they don't understand. I want to get into this to connect some dots here, to encourage people to step back and think about some things here, considering the state of the dog training world. So understand here, when people leave comments on my videos, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take a look because again, they're leaving this. These are public videos that they're putting out for the purpose of training dogs, and this is for critique purposes. Okay, so I don't want people to take this the wrong way. This isn't about. I don't even know who this person is. I never met this person. I'm going by what they're putting out by way of content. Again, I put out lots of content. I get into those issues, influence and control. So these trainers are going in, critiquing, saying they don't understand. So I want to take a look at, and what you're going to see here is a theme. Okay, we're talking about a theme here. You're going to see dogs, lots of dogs on with a loose leash. Okay, you talk about this whole loose leash issue. I'm going to talk about this here in a moment by way of the inherent problems. Okay, but when people go by appearances, and the theme I talk about is influence and control, the integrity of that coming into a process in a very specific way, okay, to reveal. Okay, understand that, and how you want to see this. I talk about the same example of, and how you want to see the same example of my parenting example, difference between having, in terms of your parental role, having a close in and personal conversation with a child, okay, that's has an attitude problem, and you're getting in close proximity versus standing 20 feet away. Okay, this relates to this whole loose leash stuff you're going to see here as to, again, talk about what's revealed or not revealed. Okay, just like parental influence. So you talk about influence and control, revealing. There's a reason why dogs don't want to be right in next to a person with intentional control brought onto them within the parameters of what's reasonable. Okay, I talk about intent. There's certain things I talk about, but very interesting here. So you go into these videos and you just scan in here, and again, when I went in here, there's all this loose leash stuff going on. Play a couple.
People everywhere are recommending GoodRx.
My neighbor showed me the app. It helped me save on my kids' allergy pills.
GoodRx.
Get this commercial here. So here's an example. So again, see right from the beginning, right? Not showing, just showing this type of loose leash method, right? Of just nudging a little bit, tapping, getting the dog to follow along. But the thing to consider here, and I talk about this whole thing, and you get into this thing about, dogs being able to maintain a certain distance. Okay, I talk about the gap. The gap in terms of, a dog maintaining a level of control because it's not personal. Okay, I understand this. This is the problem with appearances is dogs can appear because you have a level of control here, and a dog knows that because you're tied in through the leash here, and you're nudging and tapping at times. But here's the problem when you get into this whole kind of loose leash method, which can look like really good. Okay, it can look good from appearances. I talk about just how dogs can move around the training environment for certain motivating agents and look fantastic and not be. Okay, I understand how common it is for people to invest time, money, and energy into this superficial idea as to what training is, only to discover they're still dealing with a relationship problem. Because understand, it's got to align. Okay, that's the thing about the right I talk about the right conversation, the type of in close and personal conversation. This is where, again, on my show the default process when I'm bringing in, say, a board and train. You're supposed to see it through my board and train videos. You can see the proximity. I'm in very close with dogs, short leash, speaking the right language, because influence and control, the integrity of that needs to come in a way in which it's going to, okay, turn into a type of power play, right? It's going to be speaking the right language. It's going to, again, the role of influence control, it's going to change perception of dogs because it's aligning, it's reconciled, okay? It's the right conversation. But when you get in this thing about this whole loose leash method, it's not aligned, okay? It's not tied in. And so the same rule applies, and the same question I put out to these trainers, what's the criteria, okay, you're using to establish that the perceptions of these dogs are changing the right way at the level you think that they are? What's the criteria for that? Right? Because this is just about the superficial response. You don't truly know. That's the problem, because dogs can be a loose leash. Say, hey, you know what? I'm here. I'm not in close and tight here. Those, again, the issue about a personal conversation, influence and control. They're not aligned. That's not aligned. The integrity of that is not aligned. Okay, to know, that's your litmus test. Okay, so dogs would be out here like this and still be holding a level of control throughout the entire process. How do you know? Well, you don't, because the criteria is for the influence and control needs to come in and be reconciled to actually know that. The dog's level of agreeableness or disagreeableness, okay? And then you can connect all the dots to the issues, because this is a problem. Dogs don't coming in, and this is how this can appear to clean up so fast, right? It's no different than if I use treats, walked into a situation with an aggressive dog, and like many trainers do, and start pumping the treats. They can look fantastic in 2 seconds. But once you question and say, well, that doesn't even seem right. Like, how can a dog look so great and that dog's trying to tear someone's arms off? Well, because it isn't great. Okay, there's no depth. Okay, you're not actually engaging a relationship problem the right way in terms of a intervention, and taking that, bringing those core ingredients in, aligned, reconciled, to actually reveal truth and to change. Okay. So here again, the same rule applies. Like, what's the default setting here? What's the jumping in point? It can look great, but that's the problem. Okay, understand that your default kind of jumping in point. So the same thing here. Go down through here. See all sorts of videos here with just this loose leash method going on. And we'll click on another one here. This is session 1, loose leash walk, right? So connection, right? But again, the same thing applies. Like, what level, how much control is this dog holding? Like, how do you assess that? Then the other issue is how this could tie in terms of, because again, a dog understands that you have a certain level of control there. And then the problem here can become through the relationship itself. Is I do A, B, and C, I get D. I can tie in through a motivator the wrong way through the relationship itself. Okay, just within a framework of responses. So understand that this is just about, again, superficial response. See, letting the dog sniff and all that. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't know. I have no clue what level how much control any of these dogs are holding. But the point of everything is to say, the actual how influence and control come in to actually, establish that. Okay. I mean, understand that when these trainers are doing this stuff, that's the problem. Is like, you have to know. I mean, knowing is the issue here, and coming out on the other side by way of a predictable outcome. Okay. So here, let me go through some more of this here. But that's all you see here. Is this loose leash method, right? It's about, again, a connection. But again, I'm very specific about what actually creates change. And so here, this person, and again, they put up a video about their most aggressive behavior. It's all just bogus. Okay, so I want to see what their influence and control, how that aligns. I want to see it, but it's not here anywhere. Okay, this is just that loose leash tap and stuff going on. So again, the cautionary tale is, okay, this is all assumption based. You can't know without those core ingredients coming in, aligning the way I described. There's no way to know. And then the problem is that's how people get blindsided into assuming things that aren't true. Just like, again, I talk about the source of the problem in the dog training world. So this is the showy thing. This is like showcasing. It looks great, right? But so do dogs moving around the training environment for treats, okay, everything else, and they're not great. And people, get their arms tore off. So again, you go through here, that's all you see. And again, I would suggest there's a reason why a person says they don't understand, what I'm talking about. Well, if they don't understand what I'm talking about, it's not happening. Okay. It's not part of the process. The core ingredients I talk about aren't coming in the way I describe. It's this type of loose leash method. And don't get me wrong, through the process itself, you get there. Okay. Through this system, it's, intentional control. Everything starts to move forward. So you get to off leash and loose leash. In fact, you'll see on a board and train process after day 12, I'm starting to get to, off leash control, commands align, but it's going through a sequence. This isn't about going through a sequence. Okay. This looks like this is the starting point. Okay. And again, those core ingredients, they have to integrate those. They have to come in. That's the only way. So again, that's what I put out there when trainers are coming in, leaving comments. And again, this isn't about, just being critical for the sake of being critical. This is the sake of saying, okay, let's see what's going on here. These trainers say they don't understand, but what is their default setting? Like what represents a process? How are those core ingredients coming in or not coming in? What's the integrity of that? What does that represent? Because there is a method, there is a way forward, there is a way to know, and there certainly is a way to make sure change happens coming out on the other side by way of a predictable, intentional outcome. Thanks for watching.